Fake smartphones. A cheap alternative or a waste of money?
So if this one explodes, you're not surprised.
Fake German cars. Glorified tin cans or better than the original?
The quality is poor, worse than the original.
And precious antique marble statues. Brand new. Mission Knowledge China investigating forgers, fakes and counterfeits. Counterfeiting stop number 1 is located in the south of China. Shenzhen, with its 12 million inhabitants, is the mobile phone mecca. In a separate district called iPod City, Chinese companies manufacture products for Samsung, Apple, Sony, HTC and many others. If you want a brand new mobile phone, Shenzhen is right at the source. Many are originals, but the city is also the mecca of mobile phone forgers. Together with our contact, we are looking for the cheapest fake iPhone we can find. Where is it best to buy the fake iPhone?
We should get one in there right away.
Counterfeit cell phones. Not only a problem in China. In 2013, approximately 150 million fake phones were sold via online platforms, even in Europe. Here on display are loads of cheap smartphones, and we specifically ask for a fake.
We're looking for a counterfeit iPhone 6.
I've got one. By the way, the sale of fake smartphones is illegal in China. The smartphone is great, works perfectly, and I'll even throw in the original box. There you are. With a little haggling, we get the fake iPhone 6 for an incredible 70 euros. But what is the quality like? And how do we recognize a fake smartphone? We make our way to Zila, a company that checks the quality of consumer products, and meet founder Sean Wang.
Fine, thank you.
Oh, you got an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sean's team has been testing the latest mobile phones and their fakes every month since 2010, so thoroughly that even the manufacturers rely on their tests.
We involved a little bit in those R&D process, but not very deep, because we want to still keep our mind clear and be objective about the product.
Whether original or copy, Sean knows every little detail. Back to our 70 euro iPhone, how do we recognize a cheap copy?
Let's crack it open, let's see what's inside. Well, it's a little tricky to open it. Yeah, well, you know, Apple never packed their phones like this. They don't have this plastic pouch or something. They usually have a very clean a film on top of their phone.
Characteristic number 1, the packaging alone is different. And there are also differences in weight. The original is heavier than the fake. The lightning flash on the original, white. On the fake, it's rather yellow. And the camera on the original on the left is more robust. Unlike a plagiarized item, a fake always has the original logo. Now the question is, how good is the technology inside? The original is screwed together and so can be opened quickly.
It's glued.
Okay.
Most fakes are glued. This saves manufacturers time and money in production.
Okay. Not surprised, because you know it's what you can expect for 500 RMB.
Left the fake, right the original. Now, at the very latest, the phones don't resemble each other anymore, especially the batteries. The battery in the fake smartphone even makes our experts suspicious.
So if this one explodes, you're not surprised.
Sean notices straight away. The components in the fake are cheap scrap.
We have tested all these fake phones, so you can only make phone calls. They're gonna crash all the time, and they're slow, they're laggy.
Final test, the software. At first sight, the fake is quite similar to the original. But does it work the same? First, we test the camera. The original clicks when taking a picture. The fake is different. It pushes the photos along.
That's typical Android. It's not iPhone.
If your iPhone at home pushes the photos, it's guaranteed to be fake. That would then also explain the poor quality of the picture. As far as colour and resolution are concerned, the fake smartphone on the left is much worse. Very cheap copies can't even connect to the computer. Really bad fakes like this are now flooding the markets, even back in Germany.
You can buy these fake phones on eBay, definitely, and these phones are usually exported to Europe and North America and Africa, basically everywhere.
By the way, Apple itself doesn't provide any information about what action they take to deal with such counterfeits. So keep your eyes open when buying a mobile phone. Now, we move on to plagiarism. Our second stop takes us 1,200 kilometers away to the east of the country. Shanghai, a city of about 20 million inhabitants, has one thing above all: cars. German cars. Porsche, BMW, Volkswagen, Audi. And they cost even more than in Germany. And we find them. At first sight, this little speedster looks like a Smart, but it's not. This car doesn't only look like a BMW, it's also called X5. The most amazing thing is this mini copy. While we examine the car, we get some well-intended advice from a passerby.
Go buy mini. Why buy this?
Is this not so good?
为什么不买？The quality is shitty.
Really?
Yeah. 真的假的？
We want to know more and drive to the car market in Shanghai. Here, you can find pretty much any car you can buy in China. Will we also find copycat cars here? We certainly do. The reason? In China, a patent usually only lasts for 10 years. After that, the Chinese are allowed to build a copycat car. But they can't use the original logo, and sale in Germany is still prohibited. You sell a car that looks like a Mini? Yes, that was the idea behind it. Because it sells better? Yes, it sells well. From the outside and inside, the car looks amazingly similar to the original. At only €8,000, the copy is 4 times cheaper than the original Mini in China. But what about safety? At this price, I'm a bit concerned how safe it is. We use the same steel as Mini. The bodywork is the same, and Mini only sells for such a high price because you pay for the brand. The engine in our car is from Ford. We want to take a test drive to see if the car can convince us. But there's a problem. No petrol. No petrol. That's no problem for us because we've prepared something. A meeting with the owner of a copycat car here in Shanghai.
Hi. Linda, nice to meet you. Oh, nice to meet you.
Li Shoming drives a replica Smart. At first sight, a perfectly good little city runabout. The perfect Smart copy?
For the city, this is a great car. It's very small and easy to park. And the design is like the Smart. But it's much cheaper.
You can see that if you look closer. Screws and wires hold parts of the body together, which incidentally doesn't really fit properly. And that's for the princely new price of €7,800. And what's this all about? Mercedes logos on the rims of a copy?
This is just for fun. Because the car looks like a Smart, I put the Mercedes logos on it myself.
We would have been surprised too. A copycat car is a copy of an original, but has its own logo, and sometimes other features like a backseat. They are not in the original. Can the copycat Smart do more than the original? Let's go for a little spin. We quickly get the feeling that somehow everything is shaking here. For Li, completely normal.
The underbody feels a bit loose in the corners. It's not very stable.
We want to hear the opinion of a professional at an independent garage. And, of course, we have organized a real Smart to compare it. Optically speaking, the China Smart is slightly larger, but in terms of paint and shape, almost no difference. Workshop manager Hu Chaoqing doesn't only know the Chinese rip-offs, but the originals too. A look at the copycat car's engine, which by the way is at front.
You can see a difference in the engine. This one has an ordinary, naturally aspirated engine. The Smart, on the other hand, has a turbo engine and is much more compact in design.
It depends on the model, but the original has both the engine and the drive located at the rear.
Another thing is safety. For example, the gap to ventilate the brakes is very small. There's only a small gap where air doesn't come in well. On the original Smart, this gap is much larger. Due to this, the brakes are better ventilated and don't heat up as fast. It's safer.
No wonder. The real Smart is twice as expensive. Fake car owner Li sits in an original for the first time.
For us Chinese, the real Smart is not good because 2 seats make it simply impractical. The price-performance ratio is also not good at all with the Smart. That's why I decided to buy the copy.
Safety and quality don't matter to Li. He prefers his copy. But we've not finished yet. For fake number 3, we fly to the Kuyang district. The originals that are faked here usually come from Italy. At least, that's what we thought. This area has been the Chinese center of sculpture and stonemasonry for over 100 years. Many expensive and especially antique statues are made here. Workshop manager Jiang Li Wang sells his statues all over the world.
Nice to meet you.
Let me show you what we do here.
We are astonished. Christian statues with an antique look as far as the eye can see. From the Madonna to Jesus, Jian produces everything his customer wants.
We're delivering this marble statue of the Virgin Mary to a church in China. It costs around 5,000 euros, but we also supply many churches abroad. Here in China, we produce the most statues of this kind in the world.
Jian is a master of his trade, and he has a trick up his sleeve to achieve the right antique look, but he wants to show us his trick later.
For our stone statues, we use plaster patterns like these. And to make such a statue, we need about 30 days.
Honestly, this has more to do with art than with forgery. 30 workers create every imaginable statue in marble. Copying things has been a tradition in China for centuries. That's why they are so good at it.
People who don't know much about sculpture often think our statues are antique. Sculptures with an antique look are now being made all over the world, but we Chinese do it best.
Jian leads us into a separate area. With a lot of craftsmanship and a special technique, the antique look is created here, within a few days.
There are chemicals in this pool. They make sure that our stone sculptures get the right patina, but that takes a few days, usually about a week.
The acid slowly eats into the surface. This creates the fake antique look. And Jian makes everything that his customers want to look old.
This is part of a well. This has now been in the acid bath for 5 days, but it needs 2 more days. You can see very nicely how the acid has worked the stone.
After the acid bath, Jian's workers must clean the stones and figures one last time. The result? Only an expert could tell the difference to a real antique statue. Jian sells sculptures worth 1.5 million euro worldwide every year. But according to him, he's not a counterfeiter.
Sometimes Italian workshops buy mostly finished sculptures from us and only do a little fine-tuning and then claim that they come from Italy. Then the sculptures suddenly cost the consumer 3 times more. Yes, that happens.
Forgers, fakes and counterfeits. We went to China, a country where copying is simply part of their culture.